This is Aladdin. This is Jasmine. And this is her dad and the Sultan. You know them from Disney's Aladdin. You know this outfit. And this one. And then there's this one. But are they accurate? We got this historian.
Hi, my name is Ayşe Baltacioğlu-Brammer. I'm a professor of Middle Eastern history at New York University. Today I will be talking about Disney's classic animated movie, Aladdin, released in 1992.
To walk us through what the movie got right and what they got wrong about these looks. First, let's learn about the complex and intriguing origin story of where and when Disney's Aladdin takes place.
It's almost impossible to have an exact answer for where and when the movie takes place. The movie Aladdin conflates many and oftentimes contradictory details about the Middle East and Islam by perpetuating negative stereotypes and presenting basic factual mistakes and absurd characterizations. From its opening song to its character formations, the movie has drawn a lot of attention and criticism. Interestingly, but not shockingly, the protagonists, Aladdin, Princess Jasmine, and the genie, all have perfect American accents with more Western features. However, most of the other characters, especially the more villainous ones, have strong Middle Eastern accents.
Only one may enter. I must find this diamond in the rough.
The most direct inspiration for Disney's Aladdin came from the movie Thief of Baghdad, filmed in 1940. That was Alexander Korda's Oscar-winning British remake of the 1924 silent film of the same name. According to the producers of the movie, just like The Thief of Baghdad, Disney's Aladdin was meant to be set in Baghdad. However, this was exactly when the US started bombing Iraq during the First Gulf War. And therefore, Disney changed the setting to a fictional city to avoid negative connotations with the city of Baghdad or the dictator rule in Iraq, Saddam Hussein. Instead of Baghdad, the name of the city in the movie is Agrabah.
Welcome to Agrabah,
which is not an actual place. The imaginary city of Agrabah, however, includes most of the letters from the city of Baghdad. Regardless of the city, Disney's retelling of the story effectively links Aladdin to the Middle East, with some obvious details from Iran and India as well. The movie Aladdin takes inspiration from the famous collection of tales, 1001 Nights, or as more commonly known in the West as the Arabian Nights.
Well, Ali Baba had them 40 thieves, Scheherazade had 1,000 tales.
Scheherazade is the main character in the 1001 Nights stories. Although the story of Aladdin is interestingly one of the best known stories in the collection, it was not a part of the original Arabic text. It was in fact added to the collection in the 18th century by Galland.
1 second, who is Galland?
Who allegedly acquired the tale from a Syrian Maronite storyteller he met named Ana Diab. The event that sparked the Arabian Nights into a modern European phenomenon was its translation by the French author Antoine Galland into French from a 15th century Arabic manuscript.
So is Ana Diab the creator of the story of Aladdin?
Ana Diab was born to a Maronite Christian family in Aleppo, in modern-day Syria, in the late 17th century, which was under the Ottoman rule, an empire that lasted over 600 years and ruled the Middle East, North Africa, Southeastern Europe, and Asia Minor. The original setting of Diab's story is ancient China. The Chinese setting of Aladdin may surprise many of you today, but it is actually not that far-fetched. Many of the stories that are told in 1001 Nights are not situated in the Middle East, but further east, somewhere in or around China, most likely in Central Asia. Looking back at the Disney film, the Chinese or Central Asian Aladdin is almost unrecognizable, aside from Aladdin showing Jasmine the world.
It's all so magical.
This is partly due to a distinct Hollywood practice to Arabize everything about Islam or the Muslims, which is the assumption that all Muslims are Arabs. Side note, vast majority of Muslims today live outside of the Middle East, mostly in Far East and Southeast Asia. The royal palace in Aladdin seems like an exact replica of the Taj Mahal in Agra, India, built by the Muslim ruler of the time in the 17th century. More references to India include elephant sculptures around the palace, as well as the name of Jasmine's pet tiger, Raja.
Raja was just playing with him, weren't you, Raja?
However, the background scenes are also said to have been based on Persian miniatures, as well as the photos of the Iranian city Esfahan taken by the film's layout supervisor Rasul Azadani, an Iranian animator at Disney and namesake of Rasul, Agrabah's captain of the guards.
We've all got swords!
Okay, so how should we analyze the outfits worn in Disney's Aladdin?
For the purposes of analyzation of Disney's Aladdin, I think the most likely option is that the story takes place during the lifetime of its creator, Hana Diab, in the late 17th, early 18th century. And the Sultan in the story is simply the Ottoman Sultan who was at the time the ruler of the Middle East, including Baghdad, Cairo, and Aleppo. While the time frame and region is very broad, we understand that Disney's Aladdin is a hodgepodge of cultural influences.
Okay, now that we have a time and place to analyze, let's look at the looks. First up, Aladdin.
Aladdin's signature outfit in the movie is a pair of loose baggy pants, a small vest that he put on his naked upper body, and a small fez on his head.
Let's draw Aladdin's outfit from the undergarments up. Starting with the undergarments.
I assume he will wear underwear, but I'm not sure.
Alright, so maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Moving on to the pants.
These loose pants are mostly called shalwars, a Persian word for trousers. These are loose pajama-like trousers. The legs are wide at the top and narrow at the ankle. The main purpose is to provide freedom of movement and comfort in hot and or humid climates.
Next up, his vest.
Although Aladdin's religion and region is not specified, it is highly unlikely that a similar character will have worn a vest on a naked upper body. What Aladdin is wearing in the film can be considered a typical attire of mystics, who historically isolated themselves from society and its riches, practicing self-severe, self-discipline, and abstention from all forms of indulgence, typically, but not always, for religious reasons. Aladdin's vest isn't wholly inaccurate, but it is likely he would have worn short or long-sleeved cotton or linen top with or without a vest on top.
Moving up to his headwear.
Now, let's take a look at Aladdin's headpiece.
He hasn't got 'em.
What he's wearing is called fez, or fez in Turkish, or tarbush in Arabic. A conventional fez is a felt headpiece in the shape of a short cylindrical peakless hat and is usually red, sometimes with a tassel attached to the top. Its name comes from the Moroccan city Fez, the city that historically produced dye made from crimson berries to color the hat. In the movie, the genie tells Aladdin
that fez and vest combo is much too 3rd century.
Based on this line, one would think that the little reddish headpiece that Aladdin is wearing is an old-fashioned one. However, the fez owes much of its popularity to the 19th century Istanbul, the capital of the Ottoman Empire, where it was introduced by the Ottoman Sultan Mahmud II as an extension of the modernization and Europeanization efforts. In the early 19th century, Ottoman Sultan Mahmud II's main goal was to modernize the military by adopting Western-style uniforms with the addition of the fez as a headpiece. In 1829, the Sultan ordered his civil officials to wear the plain fez and banned the wearing of turbans. Although some men rejected the fez, it soon became a symbol of modernity throughout the Middle East. Long story short, Aladdin wouldn't wear a fez, but instead would wear a traditional headpiece called turban.
Let's take a look at his footwear, or lack thereof.
It's also interesting to see that Aladdin is always barefooted in the movie, even though there were shoes worn even by the poor. It's actually more likely that Aladdin would have worn some type of a shoe. In terms of Aladdin's clothing, there are some accuracies, but also many inaccuracies.
So here's what Aladdin's outfit would have looked like given our possible time period and setting. Now let's move on to Princess Jasmine.
If I do marry, I want it to be for love.
Princess Jasmine is the first non-European princess Disney introduced. First and foremost, her outfit is too revealing. What Princess Jasmine is wearing in the movie is a straight take from European Orientalist painters' imaginations that dominated the art scene in Europe in the 18th and the 19th centuries.
Let's learn about what Princess Jasmine would have worn from the undergarments up.
While conventional women's underwear, panties and bras did not become common practice until the late 19th century, the corset was part of the imperial women's clothing in the Middle East.
I know it seems quick, but let's move on to the pants. You'll find out why.
Actually, her pants are mostly accurate. We are just missing some other pieces. The classical dressing for an elite woman consisted of a pair of loose pants layered with a one-piece elegant dress and a belt.
So the pants are somewhat accurate. Let's move on to what Jasmine's dress would have looked like.
Depending on the social status of the woman as well as the season, these dresses were made of fabrics ranging from cheap linen to pure silk and velvet. Red and green were the most popular colors for high-end women's clothing due to the hardship of creating those colors and also the fact that they were the imperial colors.
Let's move on to the accessories.
Also, in addition to the belt, other pieces of jewelry, including necklaces, bracelets, and tiaras, were worn oftentimes to symbolize the power and prestige of the family, lineage, and the dynasty, particularly for the imperial woman.
Let's move on to headwear.
You could say that Jasmine's tiara is a nod to accuracy. A detailed shawl to cover most, not all of the hair was usually accompanied with additional layers of embroidered tulle when these women were out in public. Historical sources tell us that the women did not cover their head when they were in the confines of their homes without any strangers. As you can see here, when Jasmine goes into town, she's covering her hair. When Jasmine was in her palace without any strangers, she wouldn't have covered her hair. So that is accurate.
And down to the shoes.
Jasmine's shoes in the movie closely resemble what was called pabuç or çarık, and these are what both men and women would have worn.
Now for the makeup.
It is historically accurate that different types of eyeliners were popular in the Middle East, both for men and women. In many cases, these liners were made with coal dust.
So here's what Princess Jasmine's outfit would have looked like given our possible time period and setting. Let's move on to the Sultan.
Jasmine's father has the most realistic outfit among the characters that I discussed so far, with some lacking details.
Why don't we draw the Sultan's outfit from the undergarments up, starting with the undergarments?
The boxers are not accurate. We do see Raja take a bite out of the back of the pants of a suitor for Princess Jasmine, and this is an imperial man. These boxers with hard pants for the time, not accurate.
Next, the pants.
These loose pants are mostly called shalwars.
Let's look at the next layer.
These kaftans would be generally worn on top of another layer called entari. While the entari was also intricately made, the level of detail on an entari wouldn't be as intricate as the kaftan itself. These will be at least 2, possibly more, depending on the weather.
Moving on.
The belt that the Sultan is wearing is accurate, but probably will have been more embellished.
And now let's look at the next layer.
The Sultan will wear a long robe that is traditionally called kaftan. However, unlike the one that Jasmine's father is wearing in the movie, a Sultan's kaftan will be embellished with details. These details would mostly be vibrant colored embroidery or intricate jewelry. Sultans' kaftans will serve as an indication of their power and authority, and for that reason it was a meticulous job to make them, carry them, wear them, and store them. Many sultans therefore had specific people whose main duty was to make sure the kaftans were well stored, well picked for special occasions, and preserved. In many cases, these kaftans were exchanged as gifts between 2 ruling empires, showing each side's commitment to fostering a positive relationship. Recently in the West, the kaftan has become a fashion statement for women. The popularity of the kaftan increased significantly after Jessica Simpson was photographed wearing them during her pregnancy in 2011.
Now for the headwear.
Here you can see how the Sultan's turban from the movie is showing some similarities with the turbans of the most famous Ottoman sultans, Mehmet the Conqueror, or Süleyman the Magnificent, or his father Selim the Grim. You can see the sultans wore wide-edged turbans. Turbans usually were a long piece of cloth wrapped in different ways, rather than being one single piece.
Now down to the shoes.
The Sultan is also wearing shoes that closely resemble what was called papuç or çarık, and these are, again, accurate.
So here's what the Sultan's outfit would have looked like given our possible time period and setting.
As we have seen, Disney's Aladdin follows a trend that clumps together different and many times contradicting details about Islam as a religion and the Middle East as a region. This could happen because of two possible reasons. First, it could be a simple ignorance of Hollywood about the two. The second possible reason for the difficulty in pinpointing a time frame and a region is that the creators of the movie Aladdin did not want to single out one place, one culture, one ethnicity, or one period of time, and intentionally kept things vague in the hope of making the movie more relatable to a broader audience. For the 2019 remake of the movie Aladdin, Disney hired a committee consisting of experts and scholars of the Middle East and Islam as a religion. I guess they are learning from their past mistakes. While there are some accurate depictions of the clothing in the characters of the movie, such as the Sultan, Jasmine's and Aladdin's clothing have many inaccuracies.
So here's what the characters in Aladdin would have worn if they had lived in history during the time period that we have analyzed this film.
You never had a friend like me.